Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to this week's energy forecast. I'm Sarah Louise. I'm an intuitive. I'm a reader of the cosmic weather. So I'm here to share with you my intuitive take on what's coming up this week. So what's happening in those planets and what energy is going to be around and how you can best navigate yourself through the week. So I'm like, drum roll, are you ready? Because it's the finale. Like that is how this week feels, yeah. So I'm going to start with my analogy. And when I did the written, it was so clear of my analogy of the energy of this week. So I'm going to start with that. So I don't know who's watching this, who has ever done a Pilates class, but I do this hot Pilates class kind of quite rarely now because I actually find it really hard. And the room's hot, so the environment's hot. And it's like you kind of begin and you're like, okay, I've got this. And then she says, okay, we're just gonna layer here. We go into the next layer and you go, okay, yeah, I've got this. And then there's another layer. And then there's another layer. And then you're thinking, I actually can't do another layer. Like I physically can't do it. And then mentally you're like, yes, I can do this. And there's another layer. And then there's another layer and you're like, say it's for my legs and my legs shaking and I like can't hold it and it's like too much and I'm thinking, can anyone else do this because my leg's in this weird position and you're telling me to do something else on top. And it's like the effect of this like layering. And I feel a little bit like that's the kind of energy of this week. We've been layering for weeks now, the last couple of weeks, like layering, you know, that horse energy and that Chinese New Year and, you know, then swimming into Pisces season. And then we had that big Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And then we had that solar eclipse, set things on fire. And then we've been walking in the eclipse tunnel. And now this week we've got Mercury in retrograde and we have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. So if you go a little loony, like, I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, but you're not going to because we're going to talk about it here. We're going to just share what that might mean and how you might feel and what you can do so you don't go loony, right? Because a total lunar eclipse is a full moon on complete steroids. It's like blowing that full moon up off the planet. Yeah. So it's the end, like we walk out of the tunnel. That's great. Yeah, that's like really good news because we've in that tunnel where we've been for the last few weeks since that solar, it can feel a little bit like, up and down and round and round. So the lunar eclipse comes and it sheds some light and it's the doorway out of the tunnel. And it's also the end of a long cycle that we've been in, not that long, but from last year. So let's think, it's in Virgo. Let's think, what is Virgo? It's around health and routine and structures. So when there's an illumination, and a really big one at that, and an ending, we might be faced with, okay, what changes do you need to make? I always feel around eclipses, it's like a change point. It's like a new turning point. It's like, where do we go from here? And Virgo, as I say, it's like structure and your daily habits and your routines and your, you know, so I feel like there's going to be a big illumination coming in for everyone around, you know, what's going on for you there? Where are your routines not great? Where can you change that structure? Where are your daily habits? What do you need to do? Yeah. And this lunar energy can be like bam, like, but it can also feel like, you know, there may have been something that's hanging around since 2025 and you're still like pushing through or battling through or wondering, or maybe it's a habit that you've been like, I really just want to just stop it. And this week is like, okay, it's done. It's over. Or there's shed light on that. Oh, now I know why. Oh, that makes sense. That's true understanding. wow, that's cool. So remember, it can play out in so many different ways. Yeah. When we do have a lunar eclipse, though, there is a lot of really heightened energy. So it can make us feel a little bit, and as I said, we've also got this layered effect going on. The layering's happened, still happening. You know, and we've thrown in that Mercury retro, you know, which is a little bit kind of breaky. We're still in that Pisces season, which is like we're quite sensitive and a little bit over emotional sometimes, and then throw in like a full moon on steroids, ending a cycle, but we're on our horses, like let's go, whip whip, let's go, like boom. Yeah, there's a lot happening. Yeah, it could feel a little bit shaky at times. Yeah, my advice to you right now is, again, like I've been saying, to trust, to get your daily habits right, to drink more water than you think you should, to ground yourself, to see the sunlight, yeah, to make sure that you're getting your nutrition and that your minerals are balanced in your body, and, you know, you look after yourself. You rest when you need to, you push when you need to. You create a beautiful balance, yeah? You don't worry too much, you become the warrior. Yeah. I was at a beautiful talk on the weekend. Beautiful Marianne Williamson. I've just adored her always. I read the Course in Miracles, you know, many, many years ago, and I read Turn to Love, and I just love her energy. And anyway, she said, and it really made me laugh, because it's what I say a lot. Like, I don't use her sissy word, but I use different words. But we're living in a time now that is not for sissies. Like, it's challenging, you know. And if you are challenged, yeah, and you kind of feel like you've knocked over a little bit, you get back up. You start again. Like, this is not a time for sissies, yeah. This is a time for the warriors, yeah, to make changes, to keep growing, to keep evolving, to keep pushing forward. And, you know, we've got these incredible, beautiful alignments happening in the sky that are helping us to do that, because the world and life is happening for us, not to us, remember, yeah. And where our attention goes, the energy flows. See, go. Yeah, these things, we've got to remember that kind of, that old stuff that we know, that we forget, and we get caught up in our day, you know. Come back to our gratitude, our daily habits, our, you know, claiming that first hour of your day, so you're in control. You're, you know, life's not controlling you. Yeah, you're not picking up your phone and, you know, that phone controls you from that moment you open your eyes. No, you have this beautiful space where you check in with yourself. Where am I at? What do I need? Where, you know, where do I go today? What's happening? How am I feeling? What's being presented? Where are my challenges? What am I journaling? How am I looking after myself? Is there any habits I have that are old, dated, I don't need? Yeah? And, you know, we can chop and change everywhere. Like, coffee is such a culture these days. And, you know, back in May last year, where I had a massive shift, I woke up one day and said, okay, I can't drink coffee anymore. My body doesn't want it anymore, and I stopped. And people say, oh, how could you give up coffee? I only have one a day, but I need it. We don't need anything. We've got everything inside of us. If we like it and we want it, fine. But please don't tell me you need it. You don't need a beer. You don't need a coffee. You don't need a wine. You don't need anything. Everything is within you. You need to overcome yourself. You need to get aligned. Yeah? So look at those habits, look at your health, look at your structure, look at your routines. Like, that's what this week's about. Yeah? With that Mercury retro, it's not like a time where we go, okay, let's, you know, here's a completely new business plan and that. No, it's not that, but it's a time to be thinking about it. It's a time to see what's ended. Yeah? So, my friends, it's a big week. Have a look and see where this lunar eclipse falls for you, and just be aware, like, don't go loony. Stay grounded. Yeah, know that we've been layering, so it might feel a little bit hot and a bit shaky in moments. Like, what do you do with that? Go take a cool shower, go swim in the ocean if you can, go lay out on the grass in the snow if that's where you are. I love you all. I'm excited to do life with you all, and we're good. Yeah, there's a lot more how to do, what to do, how it may feel in the written. So, there'll be a link under here for that. So if you want to read the written, have a little read. That will give you some journaling prompts and things like that. This is just me showing up, giving it to you raw. Yeah, just how it feels. So yeah, and I'm jungle dancing with whoever wants to jungle dance with me this week in Brisbane, a couple of weeks on the sunny coast, and I'm looking at London and possibly Dubai on my way. Let's dance our way through these crazy times and just be in joy, in rhythm. Yeah, it's much more fun, trust me. Have an amazing week. I send you lots of love.